And let's start with some international news first, where number 10 Downing Street has announced that US President Donald Trump will come to Britain in the later half of this year. And this will be Donald Trump's first visit to Britain since taking over the presidency in the United States. Now, Donald Trump's meeting with his British counterpart comes 2 weeks after he had abruptly announced on Twitter that he'd cancelled a planned trip to London. The cyberbullying against female activists has emerged as a new form of violence in Mexico. According to a report, online violence against women has increased considerably in recent years. Much of the violence against female activists is centered on social network platforms such as Facebook and Twitter. The Facebook has reportedly stepped up transparency with a user dashboard to better report violence against women. The Twitter reported that it has also streamlined the process of reporting online harassment. The New York's Guggenheim Museum has offered to lend an 18-karat gold toilet to President Donald Trump. And the offer was made after the White House requested to borrow a Vincent van Gogh painting for installation at the President and the First Lady's private living quarters. But the request was declined, with the museum's curator instead has offered to loan the gold toilet for the President to use. Now, the piece by an Italian artist, Maurizio Catalans, is an 18-karat gold, fully functioning toilet. It is called America. Now, Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has visited a military operations center in a southern Turkish town near Syrian border on Thursday. Now, Turkey's air and ground offensive has been targeting US-backed Kurdish YPG fighters in Afrin near the Turkish border. Now, Erdogan has inspected the maps and has also attended a video conference with the military officials at the army camp in the border city of Hatay. The Turkish soldiers and their Free Syrian Army rebel fighter allies have been battling to gain foothold on the western and northern and also the eastern flanks of Afrin. Now, 2 days before centre-right President Juan Orlando Hernandez is sworn into a second term, Honduras' Congress opened its 2018 legislature. As the legislature opened, opposition lawmakers protested against Hernandez's presidency. Honduras has been embroiled in a political crisis since the November 26 elections last year. The opposition says that the election was won by Hernandez by unfair means. Now, at least 31 people died in violent protests across the country in the lead up to the elections, and Hernandez is due to take office on the 27th of January. The family members of the victims of human rights abuses during the administration of former Peruvian leader Alberto Fujimori have called on Lima to continue pursuing the legal recourse against Fujimori. The Peruvian president Pedro Pablo has pardoned Fujimori on Christmas Eve, and this decision has ignited protests and also a backlash against the political establishment. A conflict between leftist insurgents and Fujimori's 1990 to 2000 government killed an estimated 69,000 people. The Norman Police Department in the United States of America have shared a video showing a man named Marconia Casey being dragged by officers in Norman. The man died 34 hours later, and the Norman Police Department have also released a statement stating that the police officers were in fact trying to convince the man to leave the hospital after his checkup was done. That the man was refusing to leave even after he had been attended to by the hospital staff. The 34-year-old man later died in police custody. His death has prompted some backlash on social media, with users labeling the incident as a racially targeted police brutality. Venezuela has expelled Spain's ambassador to the country in response to what they call a Spanish aggression. This move comes just days after the European Union imposed sanctions on senior officials of President Nicolas Maduro's government. The EU has also announced sanctions on 7 members of Maduro's government on Monday for alleged abuses of rights and democracy. Now, Spain was one of the main promoters of the sanctions against Venezuela. Venezuela is also seeking an Interpol red alert for former oil czar Rafael Ramirez, who has been accused of corruption. Ramirez's current location is not known. He was the head of the oil ministry. He's long been a rival of President Nicolas Maduro. After clashing with Maduro, he was named the foreign minister and then the United Nations diplomat. The rescue services continue in Paris to help victims hit by flooding due to Seine's rising levels. Now, the rising water levels are expected to continue to rise and reach more than 6 meters over the weekend, and they've inundated several parts of Paris, prompting officials to shut down train stations and also close a part of the Louvre Museum and also halt water traffic. Now, hundreds of people had to be evacuated with the help of soldiers. Now, there is a new exhibit in European Parliament which focuses on how the Nazi Party used propaganda and the media to help Adolf Hitler to win power in Germany. Now, the exhibit was inspired by months of debate on how and how much of fake news may have influenced the 2016 US presidential campaign and the election of President Donald Trump. A high-speed train caught fire in East China's Anhui province on Thursday. No casualties were reported. Firefighters arrived at the site within 30 minutes and dispatched 3 fire engines and about 17 firefighters to tackle the blaze. The 27 people were injured in a school bus crash in the rural village of Manciet in southwest France on Thursday. The crash took place between a bus carrying 45 school students and 5 adults. This is the second such major accident in southwestern France, where 6 adolescents were killed last month when a train smashed into a school bus on a level crossing. The opening stage of the 2018 World Rally Championship officially began in Monte Carlo's Casino Square on Thursday. The Monte Carlo race is the oldest rally on the calendar and will begin today to kick off 3 days of lengthy rally driving. In a complex operation that was undertaken by army engineers and specialist contractors, Egypt has moved a 3,200-year-old statue of King Ramesses II to the atrium of Cairo's new Grand Egyptian Museum. The statue will be the first thing that visitors see as they enter into the museum, part of which will open later this year ahead of its expected official launch in the year 2022. Now, Egypt's tourism sector is one of the country's main sources of foreign funds. The New York's first ever dog-friendly cafe has opened up. The cafe is separated into 3 sections: a window where customers can order food, a regular cafe for humans with no dogs allowed, and also an indoor lounge for dogs and their owners. The dog treats are available on the dog side of the cafe, and for humans there are also house-made treats as well. Alright, let's now move on to some news from India, where security has been strengthened across the Indian states ahead of the 69th Public Day celebrations today. Armed police and paramilitary personnel have been deployed at strategic places across New Delhi. Now, hundreds of security personnel were deployed in central Bhopal city and also in northern Jammu city. Security personnel have been deployed in critical areas which have seen a spike in terror activities in the last few months. Just a day before the Republic Day parade, Congress Party President Rahul Gandhi has written what he calls a letter to the nation. In his letter, Rahul Gandhi has spoken about the ideals of justice, liberty, equality and fraternity and the need to defend these ideals in India, which he says the present dispensation. Now, for the first time, a tableau of the All India Radio will be leading a series of 23 tableaux during the Republic Day parade this year. The tableau will feature Prime Minister Narendra Modi's monthly address, Man Ki Baat. The All India Radio has said that the tableau will have various scenes depicting its journey. Sonia Gandhi's plans to form a united anti-BJP front against Prime Minister Narendra Modi. According to reports that have come in, Sharad Pawar and Sonia Gandhi are in talks about creating this united front. They will also talk with other parties to bring them under one umbrella. Now, the Indian Air Force has kicked off a $2 billion procurement project for 6 desperately needed mid-air refueling aircraft to extend the strategic reach of its fighters. Now, the procurement program was cancelled twice over the last decade due to cost and other issues after inducting 6 Russian-origin mid-air refueling aircrafts in the year 2003 till 2004. Now, the IAF had first taken up the case for the acquisition of 6 additional tankers in the year 2006. The 14-time major winner Tiger Woods returns to the PGA Tour for the first time in a year. Woods will tee off at the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines, a course where he has won 7 times, including the US Open in 2008. His last major, Woods had a 4th surgery on his back last April after his comeback attempt lasted just 3 rounds of competitive golf. Now, Woods also returned to action at the Hero World Challenge, a tournament which he hosts, and finished tied at 8th position. This is just his 2nd PGA Tour event since the year 2015. Alright, let's now move on to some entertainment news now, where fresh off her record-breaking 21st Oscar nomination for her role in The Post, actor Meryl Streep will join the multi-award winning drama Big Little Lies for its 2nd season run. Now, Streep is reportedly set to make as much as $800,000 an episode for her role as the mother-in-law of Nicole Kidman's character in the season that makes its debut in 2019. The Latin superstar Enrique Iglesias has sued his former record label Universal Music for quote-unquote systematically underpaying him his streaming royalties. In a lawsuit that's been filed on Wednesday in a Miami federal court, the singer and songwriter has accused the record label of paying him only a fraction of his 50% royalty rate for streaming. He's further blamed the music label's faulty bookkeeping for the loss in revenue amounting to millions of dollars for the Spanish artist. Tom Cruise announced his official Instagram debut in Mission Impossible style, revealing the title of the upcoming 6th film in the Mission Impossible franchise. Tom Cruise revealed the film title Fallout with a video clip of a stunt from the film in which he can be seen hanging along the side of a helicopter. The Mission Impossible 6 is all set to release on the 27th of July. It also stars Alec Baldwin, Henry Cavill and Rebecca Ferguson.